I'm gonna be the one to say it. The mamas who never spoke bad about the fathers but knew the fathers were bad fathers and let the kids experience the bad father was just as bad as the father.
Is it okay to tell your children how bad their father is? Do you think it's a good thing to tell your children that their father has a bad behavior, their father is a bad man, their father did this or did that? Like educating your children to know the kind of father that they have and try to keep them away from their father. Do you think it's a good thing? Because this lady is saying that if you as a mom, you know that you have a terrible partner or you're a terrible baby daddy, and you do not tell your children how bad their father is, then you are as terrible as the man. Let me show you all these videos, then we'll come back and discuss.
I'm gonna be the one to say it. The mamas who never spoke bad about the fathers but knew the fathers were bad fathers and let the kids experience the bad father was just as bad as the father. And then they always said, I'm gonna let them see it when they get older. They're gonna understand it when they get older. When you could have been the one to stop it. Like, why would I have to go through that? You should have been protecting me emotionally from somebody who couldn't take care of me emotionally. I'm gonna be the one to say it. The mamas who never spoke bad about the fathers but knew the fathers were bad fathers and let the kids experience the bad father was just as bad as the father. And then they always said, I'm gonna let them see it when they get older. They're gonna understand it when they get older. When you could have been the one to stop it. Like,
yeah, you can tell your kids all you want to that their dad is not a good dad. Like myself, I tell my kids all the time, their dad abandoned them in August of 2023. He left. He came back in May of 2024 because I put him on child support. He thought that if he would get them every weekend, that I would take him off child support. Like, no, you left them for a whole year. I'm not taking you off child support. He left again in July of 2024 after spending a month and a half with them. He left again. It's been over a year. Not a birthday text, not a phone call, nothing. Mind you, my oldest son has his own phone. He calls his dad, he texts his dad, he gets left on red or whatever the situation may be. His dad just does not. Their dad does not want anything to do with them. Mind you, I tell them all the time, your dad is a bad dad. He's a bad person. That's the reason why he doesn't want to see you. They think that he's somewhere getting his life together because he's a bum and he ain't got shit going on, and they know that. So they're just like, no, our dad is getting his life together and he'll come back and get us. I tell them all the time, look, it don't cost nothing for a man to take his kids to the park. It don't cost nothing for a man to just pick his kids up and just take them to lunch or whatever, or just call them. Call them, text them, something. Their dad is a ghost, non-existent. Mind you, their dad is actually a bad person. This is a man who had an inappropriate relationship with a 14-year-old for a while. Also somebody who cheated on me with my son's teacher. You get what I'm saying? There's a lot of, and I will give y'all a story time on both of those situations because it was seriously messy. But all in all, I say this to say, you can't make a kid not want their dad in their lives by telling them that their dad is a bad dad. Because when he was around, their memory of their dad is he took me to McDonald's and he spent the night with us and we had a good time. You get what I'm saying? They don't really know that as children. So sometimes you do have to just tell them the real, but also they'll see it when they get older. That does not make you a bad mom, and that does not make you just as bad as the dad. Let's be for real.
mamas who never spoke bad about the fathers but knew the fathers were bad.
Baby girl, I disagree with you wholeheartedly. And I say that because as a mother, it is my job to protect my children. Yes. And the way I protect them is teaching them emotional maturity, which means no, I will not badmouth your father in front of you. I don't have to. Because your relationship with your father is your business. Okay? Now, what I also have to say is I provide an open space for my children to come talk to me about anything and anybody. If something is going on over there that they are uncomfortable with, they will come tell me. And then I will address their father moving forward. But it is unfair to your children to at least not give them the opportunity to see who that other parent is unless there is a situation where he is harming them, or somebody over there at that household is harming them. That's when you intervene and say, oh, absolutely not. Okay? Now, if this is a situation where the person is an asshole or things like that, that's typically what single moms mean when they say, I'm not going to badmouth your father. You're going to learn who he is. That's because he's an asshole or he's emotionally immature. And you don't have to protect your child from that type of thing. Those are behavioral issues that your children will pick up on their own. So you overstepping boundaries when you tell them, hey, you can't go see him. Because why? In their mind's eye, it's going to be like, why you keeping me away from my dad? Why would you do that? No, I'm not going to keep you away. But your interaction with him will let you know everything you need to know, right? So you don't intervene in those spaces. You just make yourself readily available if and when your child needs to talk about anything that goes on in that other household. Because that ain't really, for real, none of your business. Again, unless your child's being harmed, none of that's any of your business. Okay? So, keep that in mind. And it sounds like maybe you weren't protected, just like a bunch of us weren't. But it's usually immaturity that causes these men to behave this way. You have to remember, our frontal lobes, which is where maturity resides, are developed before theirs are. So they're going to mature later on in life. I am 42 years old. Their father is 42 years old. I matured as soon as my son was born at 25. Let's just say we didn't reach that at the same time. And I'm not going to say nothing else because, again, I'm not finna bad talk that man on Beyonce's internet. I'm not going to do that. But what I will say is he loves his kids. I believe that. The way he shows love and the way I show love are two separate entities. And who am I to decide what that looks like for him? Right? So I'm not going to overstep that boundary. But if something happens and my children are uncomfortable, I'm who they going to come talk to. Because they know it's me that'll call and check shit if it needs to be checked. Because, again, it's two things I don't play about, and that's my kids. And I hope everyone knows how to protect their children, but the answer is not to badmouth that man. It's not. And the answer is not to keep them babies away from the men. Unless, again, he's been in trouble for harming children. Okay?
You know that even as an adult, if somebody tell you how terrible a person is or how terrible the person is to them, do you know you as an adult also have that freedom of still staying with the person or still being friends with that person or not? Because someone comes to tell me that this person is a terrible person does not automatically mean that I'm going to stay away from the person. It takes me to decide that, okay, it's a terrible person to you, but he's a good person to me. So I don't see where you're coming from, right? So you now saying children and mothers should always tell their children to stay away from their father because the father is a terrible person and all of that. You cannot, I don't think you have that power in your hands. Even if you force it, it's going to backfire. Your children are going to hate you. They're going to question you. They're going to feel like you are the problem. You see them want to even stay away from you because you're trying to avoid them to talk to their father or to be friends or to communicate with their father. I personally feel like there are some things you cannot tell your kids at a certain age. You cannot be telling a 4-year-old that their father is a bad person, their father did this to you, their father is doing this. They don't understand. I feel like it gets to a certain age that you have to sit your child down and tell them why you and their father are no longer together, why both of you are not in the same space. You know, they have to get to a certain age before you can start explaining yourself to your children. If you start telling them from a very young age that they do not understand what is going on, it feels like you're trying to make them stay away from their father, and they will hate you for it. They'll start hating you for it and start questioning you, like, why don't you want us to see our dad? And if they have a kind of father that always wants to come and see them, always want to communicate with them, and you're kind of stopping the communication, they will hate you and start questioning you for. In fact, you'll be the one that is a bad person, not the father. So I feel like there's a certain age that you have to sit your children down or kind of tell them or educate them about how terrible their father is. When they've not gotten to that age, you don't need to have that conversation with them because they do not understand. And especially if you're not staying in the same house with them. If you're in the same household with the terrible partner or a terrible father, I feel like you should not even be discussing some certain things with your children at a certain age. It's not that when you and your partner have a misunderstanding or you guys are not doing good and you just have to sit your children down at a certain age that they don't understand what's going on and start telling them how terrible their father is. It doesn't speak well. In as much as you might not even send them to their father to kind of challenge their father that why are they treating their mother like that, one day they are going to go meet their father, like, why are you treating mom like that? And mom said you did this, mom said you did that. And I feel like it might look like it's coming in a very good way, like you're trying to explain everything to your children beforehand, but then is dealing with their mental health because you're still in the same house with this person. And if it's so terrible with you, why are you in the same house with him? And you're now still letting your children know how terrible their father is, and you're still there. These men always find a way of making it look like you are the problem later on in the years when their children start asking them, Dad, why didn't you come for my graduation? Why didn't you ever send me a birthday present? Why did you ever do this? Why did you ever do that? They will start blaming the mom. They'll be like, your mom didn't tell me, your mom wasn't picking my call, your mom did, and the children will be like, Mom, you are the reason that, you don't want to be in the middle of all of that because you are the good parents, okay? You are the one taking care of these children. You are the one protecting them, right? So I feel like you be in the middle and not allowing them to communicate just because you feel like he's a bad person, just because he is a bad person, not because you feel, of course he can be a bad person. I feel like you don't need that unless it's dangerous to kids. Probably he has, done essay, grape, all those things to children. Then with all your full power, all the support you need, you take your children away from that man, right? But if it has not gotten to that, it's just normal behavior, it's just the way he's treating you as his wife or as his girlfriend, I feel like you cannot totally send these people away. I will try to take them away. Even if you try, they will still find a way to communicate. Just as I said, as an adult as well, I cannot tell you how terrible a person is. If you and the person want to be friends and want to communicate, you will still find a way to communicate with the person. And that doesn't mean that the person is terrible to you. The person might be terrible to me. Doesn't mean the person is showing you that other side, right? And you might see the good in the person. Well, but then I feel like time will always tell, and they will definitely see who their father is, or probably if he later changes and they see him as a good person, good for them, right? Anyway, what's your take on this video? Can share your thoughts down in the comment section. Respectfully, as always, Shakia Omari Davis, and thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please like and share and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one, guys.